What's up, Descendant? So, big patch update came out today, and we're going to be talking about some potential nerfs in the future to a Descendant, as well as one of the most popular weapons in the game, as well as what's going on with this giant update. So, for starters, this update is already live. It was a hotfix, which means that it should be available for everyone to play it. I actually updated last night on PC, but I'm sure it's going to be for everything because I mentioned it's for everything. But nonetheless, one of the most important and awesome features that we are getting is they're adding the start public operation function, matchmaking, for hard. And you can actually do this in Albion. So normally where you would go for like the defense mission, just go to the left, you can actually engage in public matchmaking for the hard modes. Now I do want to mention something that is important here. So most of the time when you're selecting those missions, there are those modifiers that you can select. If you select any of those modifiers, you will not be able to matchmake because some people are like, dude, it's broken, what the heck? I know you want the better rewards, but unfortunately, unless you party up with someone, you cannot do the hard mode missions when you do select the modifiers. That's very important. At the end of the day, this is a step in the right direction, but I think it would be really nice to be able to somehow add those because a lot of the rewards require like 100,000 points, and it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to reach them. Again, good step, and I want to also kind of give them some feedback as they're definitely checking out other content creators' videos. And for feedback on this, just somehow add the ability to maybe select, like you group up with some sort of group. But I know that this can be kind of hard for certain mods, like if they're like changing certain stats that you need, and well, your build doesn't work, but someone else does. I think they should make some of the stuff a little bit more generic, just like the enemies do more damage, or you take a little bit more damage versus certain things that can completely mess up a build. But I get it. It's kind of like map modifiers in Path of Exile. So basically, good step in the right direction for this, though. And I'm not going to read the dev comments. I kind of want to go through these kind of faster, but I also want to give a little bit of feedback here. Another great change, and I can confirm that this does happen. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen those encrypted vaults farming. That's what we're doing in the gameplay background right now. But they're actually increasing the quantity of rare basic materials drop from these 3 times. So we're getting way more. So that's going to be really great if you need to make those catalysts or those energy activators. This is huge. But on top of that, and I can confirm, I already got 2 of like the gold ribbons last night for just playing just a short amount of time. The elite Vulgus that appear in field missions and infiltration operations will now drop them. So in theory, what this should mean is you don't have to do the encrypted vaults if you want to go ahead and get those upgrades, which you used to had to do. So this is going to be a nice quality of life for the players. Again, that may just need that one extra upgrade, or you still want to get some catalysts here and there, but the best option will still, at the end of the day, be doing exactly what we're doing in the background for gameplay. So go ahead and still do those, but it's 3 times the amount, so now is definitely the time to do it, and it is quite lucrative, I will say, for sure. And then there's some quality of life updates here. I'm going to go through these kind of fast, but basically some of the missions here, they are going to be a little bit faster when you're doing the little hacking things where you have to stand around. The thing with this is I wish they increased the size of it, because when you're playing a character like Bunny, you want to run around, right? There are certain characters that you need that space to move around, and when you're confined in a little area, it's not the most advantageous thing, but that's a little bit better. And then they improve some like sort of supply shop button over here. Doesn't really matter too much though, and they address some sort of like bugs, but there's some stuff that I do want to mention that is actually important here. So optimization and improvements. I get asked all the time, how am I playing this game super smooth? Reduce your graphic settings, try DLSS. That will definitely help out, and they have improved the optimization, and I can definitely notice a FPS boost. Another thing that you guys got to factor in is your FOV. Reducing the FOV will help out with FPS because it doesn't have to render, more things. So that will definitely help out. So try and reduce your settings perhaps, or just maybe even now you can actually up them and you will get better optimization. Again, I noticed this last night. The game seemed to play a little bit smooth. It's not 100% smooth. I'm running on 3090, so that's kind of my results here. But it definitely feels like a lot better with all of these. And then on top of that, they fixed a bug that allowed frame limits to be set when using certain things. So check that if you're using the AMD frame generation or NVIDIA's thing where you can generate frames on that. So basically, the game should be smoother. And there is a couple bug fixes over here. Some of them are actually kind of big to fix, like Kyle over here would go up in the air when he would use certain things, or Esmo could not get back up while using Arc Explosion. But on top of that, there is a buff over here. They fixed an issue where the increase in firearm attack per stack in the Sharp Precision Shot module was summed instead of multiplied. So as far as wording, that should be, they're changing it instead of additive to multiplicative. For those of you guys that play Diablo, you probably know what that means. Basically, that is a buff. So maybe try out the sharp precision shot if you have not already. Maybe you already have it. It should be much better now. And then on top of that, this is a buff to every Descendant because everyone's playing the mod in your weapon slot, right, where it would give your weapon's attribute damage some sort of like, chill attack. It's like any of the enhancements one, right? So apparently after it would go to 100,000, it was capped. So I don't know why they even made a cap here, but now it is actually changed. So you can go way over 100. So, and this number is very achievable, by the way. This is more so for people that are min-maxing, but this is overall a buff to every Descendant here. And then there are certain issues where the values were displayed as ultimate instead of the reactor's skill cooldown. So maybe in some sort of the searches, they mentioned this a couple different times in the update. But basically, there were certain things that wouldn't appear when you were searching for an item. It would show up in the rare category instead of ultimate. So this should actually apply. Again, this is more so for people like trying to check their inventory for certain things, or like they're looking for something when they're looking for a module. It would show up in the wrong area. So they fixed that. Now this is actually pretty big. So they fixed an issue with certain things not dropping. So it's pattern 118 and shape stabilizer form 8. They were not dropping here on the hard mission. So if you were trying to farm that and you couldn't get it, well, now you know exactly why. And on top of that, they fixed an issue over here where it would not drop rewards. And they fixed another issue where the monster spawning was interrupted at some area over here. Doesn't really matter too much. I'm just going to kind of go over these really fast. But there is something that I do want to go over that I do think actually matters for the future of this game. And there could be some potential nerfs later. So this is important to go ahead and look at. So it's Director's additional comment. It has come to our attention in the community that is worried about possible nerfs to Tamer and Glaze infinite magazine builds. So two things here, right? It says the meta is very strong, but with the scope, it's within the scope of what the dev plan has planned, so there's no immediate plans to do so. And that makes me kind of concerned. I don't want to go ahead and play this character and invest my upgrades and my materials, my time, or even money, if I'm spending money in the game, in something that says, well, we don't have immediate plans to nerf. So does that mean you're nerfing it later? I think it would be much better if you just say, we're not nerfing this, don't worry, guys. That's much better. But the fact that you're saying no immediate kind of leaves it up in the air, so take it with a grain of salt. You may not want to go ahead and start maxing out your Tamer as well as Glay, which really sucks because I invested into getting Glay, and well, that could have been a bad idea. So I hope that they don't actually nerf it. It would be better if they clarified this as far as like no immediate plans. Does that mean when the new update comes out, when you release the new Descendant, that's probably going to be super OP, and if they nerf everything, then it's going to make people want to play the new Descendant even more, which makes sense from a business model. I played a lot of different games, and I'm sure a lot of you guys played video games before where the new character or the new weapon is OP, and they nerf the other things, so the new weapon, like, you have to swap to it. And in this game, it's not like Fortnite where you just get the new weapon to drop, and you can just equip it. It's probably going to be an ultimate weapon. It's probably going to be a new Descendant that you're going to have to farm up. So I'm hoping that they do not take the game in that direction, because I think a lot of people may leave the game. Now, they did say that we've been looking forward to seeing Descendants use creative builds to take down powerful Colossi swiftly, and we're delighted to see this in action now. So does that mean later you don't want us melting the bosses in like 10 seconds? Because, again, I don't want to invest into something that is getting nerfed. And on top of that, we're going to talk about drop rates now. So it says that we are many Descendants begin farming in different areas or whatever, and they said we are using the fixed drop rates displayed in the game. I'm sure some of you guys have experienced this. I've experienced this too. I'm trying to get that HP collector mod. I've done that thing like 300 times. It's like a 2-minute mission. I've been farming it on the live stream again and again, and it is not dropping. It says it's a 5% drop rate, but if you've done it 300 times, sure, you could say unlucky, bad RNG, whatever. But I want to say that it'd be really nice to get some sort of like pity system. So let's say we don't get it, like a small drop rate. Maybe every single one after the 5%, it increases by 1% every time. That way we're not doing the same mission feeling that like, oh dude, it just feels terrible. Because if we do it in a system where there's some sort of pity after you fail multiple times, it starts to increase, you at least have something to look forward to. But when I'm playing, you know, a very specific mission or something for an extended period of time, feeling that like, oh dude, this is literally finding a needle in the haystack or finding a winning lottery ticket in the trash can, it doesn't really feel good for the life cycle of the game, considering you still have to level up, you know, all the characters multiple times, basically prestiging. But they said that we have reviewed the acquisition rates across all servers and confirmed that they are dropping according to the drop rates displayed. Now, this is where it gets a little bit iffy. You just said before over here that you updated the game where certain things were not dropping and certain things in one of the missions over here. So you just admitted here that these were not dropping. But then you say, okay, we checked out all the drop rates and they're confirmed. There was 2 different instances here where this did not drop rewards. This was not working. So I want to say in the future, like, it's still good that you're fixing it. Like, at least they're admitting, you know, this wasn't dropping, we fixed it. I get that that's a bug, but as far as that goes, there's definitely, you know, proof right there that certain things are not dropping. There could be some extra cases where these aren't working. I don't want to say that, you know, it's 100% confirmed that HP Collector is not dropping, because that's happening to a lot of people, where it just simply feels like it's really bad. So hopefully with trade, because they said that they're going to be releasing trade in the future for this game, and if we can just trade the modules, that'd be excellent. I don't expect us to be able to trade Descendants, but if we could just trade modules, the Transcendent ones, and even the Ultimate mods, I think that this game will be in a much better situation. So I'm still very hopeful for it, but please, if they are, you know, if you're a dev watching, do not nerf anything that people invest, you know, a lot of time or effort into, because again, when you spend real money in a video game and then that thing gets nerfed, people are going to be upset and feel like I wasted my money. So hopefully they won't nerf that or the tamer, because like, it's not just like you get the gun and then, oh, okay, it gets nerfed, whatever. It's like, I invested my time, I prestiged this weapon multiple times, I'm buying or farming up for the super rare things like the reactors, the catalyst, the energy to actually increase it. Yeah, I don't want like the weapon or the characters to be nerfed. This is a PvE game. I could understand if it's PvP and something's broken, but unless it's like crashing the servers, please guys, do not nerf anything in the game, especially earlier on. You're just going to drive away players. Anyways, that's my thoughts. You guys can let me know yours down below, and definitely let me know how you feel about like nerfing anything in the game. Are you guys okay with it? Because I know for some people they're like, well, okay, if they nerf this, then people can play more things because everyone has to play the tamer. And while I would say that that's not necessarily the case with this game, as there's things like infinite rockets that are really strong too. I'm surprised I didn't mention that, but just don't nerf anything. Anyways, if you guys want to be up to date on more updates, patches, and more news with First Descendant as well as other video games, hit subscribe to the bell if you're new here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Descendants.